Hello, I'm Peter Towers. Welcome to Succession Planning as presented by ESS BIZTOOLS. This session is directed at accountants and business advisors who are offering succession planning advice to your clients. The succession planning webinar highlights within the ESS BIZTOOLS package designed to enable accountants and business advisors to have resources literally at your fingertips on your computer screen that you can produce to show your clients or to talk to your clients when they start discussing succession with you, or you raise the issue with them. Well, what we're going to look at as we work our way through is what's the current owner's strategies. So we have a questionnaire to assist you to invite your clients to think about a whole range of issues relative to succession. And then we would have the strategic plan being developed for succession within the business, and a succession plan questionnaire, a business planning approach for a family business, a questionnaire for the management team to answer. And I'm always very keen to receive input from members of the management team who are not part of the family. Sometimes they have a different outlook to what other people involved in the family might have. And if your client is operating a company and has external directors, or even whoever else is a director, even if they're family members, we have a questionnaire for them. And your client may have an advisory board, and it's very beneficial to get some feedback from those people also. So we have a special questionnaire. And obviously the team members, employees, are very important. And I would suggest that you encourage your clients to get feedback from those people. What are their views on succession? We have a questionnaire to help your client think about money issues, and that's what succession's normally all about, isn't it? Do they have enough money to retire on? Are they going to be happy? Do they have a plan worked out? We also raise the question about family charters. They're becoming more popular. People have them, especially where you have a business that over the years has become a little bit separated from the family. The family have gone off and done their own things, either gone to university or developed their trade skills, and they could be somewhere else. But if the family as a group owns the business, how does all this be conveyed to the general public, to the team members? What's the roles and responsibilities? And we also look at the family council. There are hundreds of these in Australia, if not thousands. Very popular concept in very wealthy families, but other family groups are now looking at the benefit of having a family council, and especially when the relationship between the business and perhaps assets that the family own is not as close as the family is directly involved in running the business and making the day-to-day decisions. So I'm now going to connect to our website where we can show you the information. So we're on the members homepage of the ESS BIZTOOLS website. So this is the inner sanctum, if you like, only available to our subscribers. We have 4 packages. We start with advisory intro. We have starter package, advanced package, and the financial forecasting. The material which we're looking at in succession planning is available in the advanced package, and there's overviews contained in the advisory, intro, and the starter package. And what happens is these are like 4 steps where with the advisory intro steps up into the starter package, then everything goes through to the advanced package, then everything plus more is incorporated in the financial forecasting package. So I'm going to go on the left-hand side here. I should have said we got subscribed content. We've got the list of the content that's included. And we can come through to the bottom of this, and we're looking for succession planning. So we just click on succession planning. And we now have the succession planning material. There's a summary of what's included, and we're going to click on download content. So this is the material. We have a procedure control form. This is a controlling document we have in each of the ESS BIZTOOLS product packages to facilitate the work process, and we'll go back to that in a moment. I just want to show you the contents that you get in this package. We have the SME needs analysis because this is a document that we've listed a whole series of discussion points that you could have with your client, and succession plan is obviously one of those, to get some feedback, to find out if the client's happy with the way things are going, or they got some real concerns. What wakes them up at 3 a.m. or whatever other time they wake up worrying about work. So we have a summary of Chief Financial Officer services, because this may be one of the key roles, the Chief Financial Officer, if that's your classification, looks after. And then we got other things: strategic management consulting, business evaluation workshop, the work programs, assignment control forms, that's to help you keep control on the job, current owner's strategy questionnaire, strategic plan, business questionnaire, and other matters. And we're going to go through a number of those to give you an overview. And there's also a paper, which is called paper 57039. And I'm going to bring that up first of all. This is the paper which is prepared for accountants to give you an insight into succession planning. And it basically traces through those various forms that I referred to before. There's links to other documents. What's included in the strategic planning assignment. It really does depend how complicated your client's business is. And some of the information there might not always be required. You can make your own decisions of that as you work your way through it. We have a budget and a quotation form, the work program quotation, the timetable, the proposal document. There's one prepared, as there is in each of the ESS BIZTOOLS product packages. You can use it if you wish, or you can establish your own. We have the assignment control form. And then we go through looking at current owners' strategies. What are they? The strategic plan for succession planning. Questionnaire, which we're going to look at shortly. Business plan for family businesses. Management questionnaire. Directors questionnaire, advisory board, employees. Do you have enough money to retire? We're going to look at all those in a moment. Corporate structure may apply to some, not all of your clients. Ownership options. We might have a look at that. I hadn't listed that, but we will have a look at the ownership options. to include that. The family charter, an interesting area. If you're not familiar with it, the family council, we got questions on that. Succession planning, personal due diligence list, identification of succession issues, etc. So it's quite a wide subject. Succession includes a lot of interesting things. Work that your accountancy firm would deliver, your bookkeeping firm would enable you to undertake some preliminary work in this area. So we now have the procedure control form on the screen. So this is a document that will guide you through the process. So first of all, we're saying there, read the paper, which we just scanned through, because that gives you the background. And there's forms there to assist with preparing a quotation and preparing a proposal. Some of the information that you might elect to send to your client. I think it's a good idea. Clients need some briefing on this. Succession is not an issue that comes across their desk every day, of course. So there's some succession planning, current owners, strategies, questionnaires. We're going to look at that shortly, but send it to them. Strategic plan for succession planning, business plan. It will get your client thinking. They can discuss it with their wife or husband, and then perhaps with some of their team members, especially with their immediate family, so that they've all got an idea of what's going to be involved in this process. And then we've got various checklists, which we've prepared to assist on this whole process. So I hope you understand the approach that we're taking with a series of questions. We've broken it down into smaller pieces so that each component can be treated separately and they can get some feedback. So let's start with the current owner's strategy questionnaire. Don't seem to be getting that. I'll just do another go. Yeah. Need a bit harder push. So we now have the current owner's strategies questionnaires. What do you want to achieve from the business? Create a legacy, provide an inheritance for your children or grandchildren, develop the business to sell so you can move into another business, get the business ready for sale that you can sell and retire. Are you building the business for a lifetime or an exit? It's an important question. I've known clients over the years who really only ever want to stay in a business for 3, maybe 4 years, sell it, have a good holiday, going back to Europe, especially if they're from countries like Greece and Italy and Croatia, places like that. Have a good holiday, then come back to start another one, another business, if that's their strategy. So what are they building it for? Have you identified your fears? You know, what's worrying someone about when they're running their business? Losing quality of life if they retire, losing personal status. There's just the concept of retirement, financial hardship because they haven't got enough money. As part of your succession plan, have you thought about options for exiting the business? Could a partner buy you out? Is there a partner in the firm? Could you introduce a new partner into the business and then exit? Could you hand the business over to another family member? Could you appoint an external CEO to run the business on behalf of the family? So is there an employee that could be the CEO? Are any of the other staff interested in buying the business? Or any other family members? Could you negotiate a trade sale with a competitor or a large organisation? Do you want to develop the business so that you could undertake an initial public offer to be listed on the stock exchange? Is it feasible to sell the assets and close the business? If so, is there any environmental costs or other shutdown costs that are going to come into play? Do you think the business is exit ready or succession ready? So does things need to be improved to be able to sell the business, if that's the decision? Are the team well trained? Are the premises looking their best for presentation to a potential buyer? What's the greatest concerns you have for the operation of the business? The financial performance, the competitors, the staff skills. Is everything reliant on your client? Is there a successor? Should there be a strategy developed to defer the retirement concept at this stage for a couple of years to make sure that one or two of the team members are significantly upgraded in their knowledge of the business and their training and in their introduction to the commercial world? You know, some clients very closely guard who can go out and talk to key suppliers or go to industry meetings and go to even Chamber of Commerce meetings or development board meetings. And when they're thinking about retiring, a lot of those questions start coming in because they know that their so-called number two or number three person has had no exposure to any of those organisations, doesn't know anyone in them. You're going to start introducing them, taking them along. What other questions? What retirement? Are you motivated by significant change or event? So is there something that's driving this move towards retirement or the succession planning process that is probably being or possibly being done when your client's cranky about something? Do they need to just let it go for a while? Do they need to say, well, let's have a look at all the material on this and reconvene in 6 months' time when you mightn't be so personally hurt about a decision that someone else has made that's affected you? Or is there a health problem of your client or their spouse or a child or grandchild? Will the business survive with a reduced reliance on you, the key person in the business? So what do you need to do to get the business exit ready? How long is that going to take? So there's a number of issues there, isn't there? Have you considered the amount of money you'd like to retire on? Interesting. So let's move back and we'll now go to a strategic plan for I'm having a problem getting that. In fact, what I'm going to do is go back to the original material and just pick it up off here because sometimes it seems to. So I brought up there the advisory board questionnaire. These are some questions you could put to the people who are on the advisory board. What's the issues that are of concern to them? How often do they meet? So we now got strategic plan for succession planning. This is a follow-on after they've had their initial overview. What now needs to be done? What are they going to write down and say, this is what we're going to do? This is what these spaces are left there for. You know, what's their strategic goals for the family business? Have you thought of professionalising the family business? So what we are offering is some alternatives that your client may not have considered. Now, some clients, of course, will just say to you, no, that's it, I've made up my mind and I'm doing this. But others will want to look at a whole range of alternatives. And hopefully that's what we are suggesting for you here. So the succession planning questionnaire, if you consider the 5-step process for effective succession, conducting a SWOT analysis, developing a mission statement and corporate objectives. Where do we want to be? Determine the objectives of the business and the key performance indicators, implementing the strategy. Covers a lot of things. The business needs to be continually reviewing itself. So this is some work you could do on succession planning long before anyone's really thinking of walking out the door, but to allow them to start getting ready. What needs to be done about the business operations, management team training, corporate governance as it applies within the organisation, budgets, cash flow forecasts. And whilst not listed there, but I know it's listed somewhere else in this document, but do they have a board of advice? Do they think a board of advice might be a good idea? I think it would be for virtually all SMEs. Or do they have a board of directors? If you're planning succession, can you answer? Can I keep the business going whilst I reduce my involvement on a day-to-day basis? It's not easy, but can they? How do I choose a successor within the business? Who would be the best management? Be the best management team within the business? Or do I have to suggest to the board or the board of advice that they import some management team members? How can the key management employees be motivated to remain with the business and to remain committed? In retirement, should I offer to sit on the board or leave it to the next generation to run the business? Have I done enough to encourage the formation of an independent board of directors who will drive the operations forward? Have I done enough to encourage the idea that the business may exit through a trade sale or initial public offer? Now, we're now talking about a larger business. I'd suggested a trade sale or IPO. Have I done enough to get the business investment ready? Can this happen straight away? When I say straight away, within 1 to 2 months? Or is it something that your client would then be saying, oh, no, it's going to take a couple of years to do all this. We're going to have to, and the great list will come out. But that's what this whole exercise is about. What's on that list? Does the business have a formal succession plan? It may have been thought through some time before, in a document, locked away in the solicitor's safe. Have you developed a succession plan? What about the secrets of the business? A lot of businesses have got these. There's negotiations that have gone on to get favourable terms from another business that maybe owes your client a favour for services rendered years ago. Is that documented? Is it something that it was expected to continue beyond the life of your client? Or was it an agreement on getting an extra 5% discount on product from someone else that basically it was going to pass once your client was no longer involved in the business? Is there key person insurance? Is there already a buy-sell agreement? That might bring everyone to a grinding halt. Oh, we've already signed a buy-sell agreement. Who with? What's it say? Have the key people in the business all prepared wills? Are there executives for the key stakeholders? Do the people appointed as executors understand the dynamics of the family business? So if this is the shares in the family business that they're getting to handle, do they understand that this is important, that decisions need to be made? Is there a succession plan for the general management team? Has that ever been considered? Or are we only considering the overall CEO or owner? What do you think the banks or key suppliers' reactions will be if you're no longer involved? You're the client. This is all addressed to that person, him or her. Have the bank been lenient because you've been a client for 35 years and you've always fixed things up for them? But they're a bit apprehensive about your two children, aren't they? Could be something that you put to your client. And you've got to be a bit brutal in some of the questions and comments on this to get to the real nitty-gritty of the issues. Is there any mates agreements negotiated with suppliers? I've probably referred to them a little bit earlier, but these things exist. Your client might have gone to school with someone that owns one of the key supply businesses, and he's been quite happy because they were great mates at school to reduce prices. But is that going to continue? Now, that will be reflected in the current financial reports and analysis in the business. So is that a warning signal that once the current key person has vacated the business, that the prices will go back up? And therefore the gross margins will reduce, or this business will have to increase its prices to its customers. What's the likely effect of that? So this discussion can unravel a whole range of other issues that may not have been thought about. Have you considered other matters, families' objectives, businesses' objectives? So the family objectives may be that your younger brother, it's part of the business, so it's a family business, but they may have a child who's now in final year of doing a university degree, and their plan always was to come and work in the business. That's been their motivation, to go off and do their MBA or whatever they've done. And has that been considered? Does your client even know that that is what another part of the family's objective is within this business? Is there a conflict between personal values and commercial decisions? Happens a lot in families, doesn't it? Is there a need to professionalise the business management to ensure ongoing prosperity? A lot of businesses find the best way to do that is to invite people like you to be on their board or on their board of advice or board of directors. Now, you need to think that through, but is there a need for funding for the growth of the business? Could the business go to the market and raise $2.5 million from crowdsourced funding equity raising and plough that into the business to implement some of the ideas that have been thought about over the years but have never been implemented? And is it best to then plan the exit for the CEO for, say, 5 years' time to allow that input of cash and enthusiasm and achievements to be achieved? Future ownership of the business. Why implement a succession plan? It's a good question. Why you should be preparing a succession plan. When should a succession plan be created? I think virtually from the very beginning of a business, but most of us don't do that, do we? And we've got to be careful that at some future date there's not going to be a problem. Why pick a deputy? Should you have one? So these are again questions to go through your client and as they're thinking about this whole question of succession. How does it all fit together? 1 minute. We might look at some of the business planning type questions. So is there a business or strategic plan? Now, part of the reason we've got this series of questions is to unearth any documentation that's already been prepared and signed and everyone's forgotten about. But always someone will remember that it's there. And it is best to avoid surprises. So ask the question to your client, is there a family strategic plan or a business plan? Does the business plan include a succession process? Might have already been thought about 30 years ago, especially if the current CEO and that family inherited the business from their parents. Certain things may have been put in place. They might be in the documents. Everyone's forgotten about them. The solicitor may have them, and they're going to be produced when a will's been read or things like that. So you need to just make some inquiries, raise the questions. Does the family have a board of directors or an advisory board to assist? Has succession been included as a key item in the determination of the business plan? If no, do you believe it should be? Does the business plan help in planning the future? Will all this help conflicts between family members, ensuring that the family and team members appreciate the business, professionalising the family business? Because what can happen is families grow older, they get educated, they go to university, they develop a trade, they go off and they get married. But some of the families working in the business, and there can be conflicts as to how much money the people working in the business are being paid, for argument's sake, the family members working in the business, the benefits that they're getting, especially if the ownership of the business encompasses family members who are no longer working in the business. They live 1,000 kilometres away. They're not involved, but they're part of the overall ownership. Has there been sufficient growth to fund the retirement? An important warning here is that do the family members accept the majority of family businesses in Australia do not survive beyond the second generation? Some do. The third generation can then be very tough. Has there been education of the management team and the family members about the operations of a family business? Have some of them been encouraged to develop other careers? And is there realistic entry standards for external management and family members and non-family members into the business? Some families I know make a rule that whilst a young person may have worked in the family business on school holidays, by the time they get to an age, say 17, 18, and they're going to go to university or take on a trade, they're not allowed to actually work in the family business until they have worked at some sort of level above entry level in another business, so that they've got an appreciation of how life works in another business where their family surname doesn't really carry any weight. It's worth thinking about. And if you've had some experience in that area, you'll know that this can cause conflicts. So there's a range of questions there that I'd suggest that you might find very interesting. You select which ones you want to work through with your client, and we're now going to look at the management questionnaire. So this is for the management team. Has your family business employed an external management person? And if yes, what position does that person hold? And sometimes, of course, that person can be in a very high position because they've been brought in deliberately to have a non-family member in the mix. How successful do you think the employment of an external person has been? Have job descriptions been prepared for each member of the management team, family or non-family? Do they understand what their roles are? Do they understand they just can't decide to have the morning off to go and play golf? If they're supposed to be working on a Wednesday, they're supposed to be there. So there's a series of questions there that you could sit down and discuss with the leadership team and then with the management people who are not part of the family to see what they think about how this business is being operated. We then have a director questionnaire. This is where obviously you've got a director's board. It's got non-family members on it. Have you appointed any non-family members to this board? Succession planning is a very important role for a board of directors to consider. So what roles the board got? How does your family business, the board of directors, undertake the appointment of a new CEO? Is there an operational succession plan for the CEO? Public company boards spend a lot of time in discussing this issue, making sure there's a succession plan in place. Family companies should do the same thing. Who's the chairperson of the family business? Is the chairperson experienced, or is he a member of the family that was a loose end and they said, well, you can become the chairman or chairwoman? Has the chairperson had experience in any other activities? They understand the corporate governance responsibilities of directors. Have they undertaken a company directors course? And does the board understand the separation of responsibilities between management and the board? So there's some interesting questions there that you might like to ask and get some feedback on and use that in the overall formulation of your strategy. We've had a look at advisory board. I just want to look at team members or employees. Does the family have a strategy for the development of both family and non-family employees, or is all the training and going off to courses, etc., only reserved for family members? Have job descriptions been prepared for all positions with no reference to whether the person's family or non-family? Are non-family members considered for executive positions within the firm? Because they've got the skills and experience. And there's another group of questions there that you could probably use to make sure that your clients thought all these issues through. Very important question. Do you have enough money to retire? Can become a real worry for people approaching retirement age. Do they have a well-funded superannuation fund? Or do they have personal assets that can assist in retirement? Or are they reliant on the business being able to supply them a payout? They may have significant loan funds in the business. Are they going to be withdrawn as part of this? How's the business going to replace that funding? What are you going to do when you retire? Have you got enough hours? How many hours a week have you been working? Have you considered what else you're going to do? Golf, fishing, bowls, community volunteering, making yourself available for appointment on board of directors. So it's some of the issues that might be considered as to whether your client is happy that they have enough money at this time. I now want to just flick through to family charters. I don't know how many of you have had experience with family charters. I seem to have some problems bringing that one up too. You might just look at. Apologies, I didn't have the knack right, did I? Bring that up. The family charter. The family charter is between managing the overlap between the family and the business and ensuring everyone knows the rules of the game. Key to harnessing the power and the passion that the family brings to the world of business. This constitution is a mechanism to assist the family in achieving its objectives. And there's some interesting questions there that you could sit down and read and discuss with the client. Family business constitution would lay out, in effect, the rules that have been agreed upon relating to management issues and the family's position, the employment of external management personnel, and the engagement of external directors should all be covered. Defines appropriate standards of performance and administration of the family business, standard of conduct and commitment of family members to the business, how often regular family meetings should be held, what's the succession plan. Constitution could cover share ownership. What's the rules for anyone being able to obtain shares in the family company? What happens in the event of births, deaths, marriage, divorces, or termination of employment if it's a family member? So are the ownership privileges within the family business affected by any of those events? What conditions relate to the price? So there's of shares. There's a whole range of issues, isn't there? Should the family employees be able to hold shares in the family company, or is it for family only? Some people have rules about in-laws and other people introduced to the family. Can they hold shares? So there's a lot of issues to be considered when you look at all of this material. So my suggestion is you sit down and talk about this. I obviously had the finger that I was clicking with not working properly back there, my apology. So then we have this summary of a family council. Election. Who appoints the family council? How long for? 1 year? 3 years? Hopefully not for life. What reports do the family council produce? How often should the family council meet? Whole range of issues that you might like to consider. Now, there is an Australian Association of Family Businesses that you could make some inquiries of and potentially join if you're looking for further information of matters that have a bearing on your business. So hopefully that's given you an overview of the issues that relate. So this is all part of the Black Friday promotion. I know Black Friday is nearly over. We're finishing our promotion of Black Friday this week. But it's part of the BizAid program, which we developed at ESS BizTools. And the purpose of that is to look at discounting the prices of our packages so as to encourage accountants to offer services to your SME clients with those packages. You will earn income from that. And we earn income from the sale of the package to you in the first instance. But the key aspect is your clients, your SME clients, are receiving services to help them. So you can acquire this package of articles and the paper on the succession planning, including other material like the Business Plus newsletter, which we produce each month, for a 50% discount. So it will cost you $150, including GST, if you want to subscribe for this package now. And this offer is available until the 10th of December. If you have any questions on succession planning that you'd like to ask me, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, or telephone me on 0747241118. So thank you very much for being with us today, and I look forward to you contacting us if you're keen to get some further information. Have a great day. Goodbye. And hopefully I will hear from you soon. And don't forget, if you've got any questions or comments, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Goodbye.